Hey there, folks. Hope you're doing well today. You know, creating content and putting yourself out there is not what it used to be. Things have become incredibly divisive and dangerous. And the story we're going to look at today is an example of just that, where a combination of white nationalism and anti-intellectualism is threatening a historian and chasing her off of the YouTube platform. Let's take a look.
I am being pushed out of this space, out of my, I feel like my calling, the thing that I love, by men who have decided that a woman talking about this history or race in America needs to be brutally punished and killed for it. Like, I don't care what side you vote for or how you see yourself politically. This is insane. And if you watched my content, you know, like, I have never said a negative thing about any group ever. That's not my perspective. That's not the way I teach. But this is like a terrifying, brave new world.
So that's Danielle. She's a historian and a teacher. She has a YouTube channel that goes by NYTN. She's been making content on YouTube for quite a few years. She was inspired by learning about her own genealogy and showed other people how to explore theirs. Now, not that long ago, she made a video titled, "Only 2% of white Americans know this about themselves." In the video, she explores all the different races that make up the label white. And she shows a map that goes county by county, breaking down common ancestry within North America. Now, as a result of that video and a couple of others, some snowflake white nationalists began targeting her and threatening her. So we thought we'd take a look at the original video, some of the comments she received, and then how that all escalated into her receiving threats and now leaving the platform. So let's take a look at that original video. And again, let's try to think about this from the perspective of either a white nationalist or an anti-intellectual. Roll the tape.
Have you been told that you're white on forums, maybe in conversations? Maybe that's how you feel like the world sorts you. Maybe that's how the news refers to people that look like you. But if you've ever actually looked at your ancestry, if you've done the research, traced the records, found cousins, you know that the word is kind of a lie. It's kind of like an eraser. Your family's actual story is way more interesting than just white. This is the story of how America made you forget who you actually are and how genealogy is the tool that we are using to reclaim our heritage.
Okay, so in that first clip, we see her kind of break down this idea that white is just a label. And behind that label is actual ancestry, that you could be Dutch or Irish or Scottish or Italian. This should not be a threatening idea to either a white supremacist or an anti-intellectual. But let's keep going, and I'm sure we'll uncover something very threatening and scary that results in the triggering of these snowflakes.
And not too many years later, the founding fathers are like, well, what happens if people want to join? Like, how do we figure that out? How do people naturalize? How do they immigrate here? So the Naturalization Act said that you needed to be a free white man of good character. That's it. That was the gateway to citizenship here in the US. You had to be free, so you couldn't be enslaved or an indentured servant. You had to be white, and you had to be morally acceptable. And there it is, right? It's that simple, right? It's brief, but it's not simple, okay? It didn't say English, it didn't say German, it didn't say Scandinavian, it said white. Well, what country is white? The new nation needed a category that I think could stretch or shrink, depending on who they wanted to include or exclude. We're going to get to that. So they used white. And so for a couple hundred years, that word has been doing heavy lifting here in America, collapsing entire worlds of culture, language, discrimination, identity, just squeezed into one color. And just on the flip side, I would argue that is true for brown and black. And guess what? They used to do yellow and red too, right? We said, no, those are, but we're okay with the other ones.
Okay, so in that last clip, we see her being a good historian, adding context, helping people understand historically what it meant to be white and why that changed over time. But she's not just touching on white, she touches on the other colors too, and talks about how they can also be similar labels. But again, nothing threatening here. She's not shutting anyone down. What she's doing is adding context and nuance. And everyone knows context and nuance is for communists. Now let's take a look at that map.
There was a post that was super interesting. It was a map that was North American counties color-coded by the most common ethnic ancestry in that region. And the comment section is really interesting. So I'm going to put the map up here while I'm looking at it. We can just chat about it. Okay, so the map says most common ethnicity of white North Americans by country, county equivalent. And so I just want to kind of take this in. It's including Canada too, but it's not including Mexico. I'll just go through this list first. So English is yellow, German is blue, green is Irish, orange is Scots. I think it would be Scots-Irish, Scottish. Don't believe those are the same though. Correct me if I'm wrong. Red is Italian, brown is Spanish from Spain, purple is French. Is that like puce? I don't know the color.
So again, in this clip, we also see nothing threatening. She's not trying to tear down white people or tear down black people or show favoritism to one group or another. She's doing what a historian should do: teach people, add context, help people understand history and how things evolved over time, and through that, better understand themselves. So now let's move up in the timeline. She's receiving a bunch of comments. She's not receiving phone calls or death threats yet, but let's take a look.
And I put this video on the trip. It was pre-recorded. And I tried to be unplugged from it, but I still saw some of this stuff. And it really messed me up. I'm going to be honest with you. All right, I want to read these. I'll put them on the screen. So one was a video where I was talking about when people say that they're white, there was a map that was kind of showing, well, what's your real ancestry though, right? Because white's not an ancestry. Neither is black or brown or red or yellow, right? What's your ancestry? So I was kind of going through that. Really just an encouraging video about digging more into your family's story. This next person said, we don't give an F about your dumbass map. Just be happy with who you are. Life is too short for you to waste your time on this. Honestly, it's retarded, they said. Okay. And then they said, another non-European person telling Europeans they're not European. Get a life. What?
Okay, so we should introduce the idea here that she is Italian. So again, this comment of another non-European person, she's Italian person telling Europeans they're not European, get a life. But no, that is what she was doing with the map, is she was showing people their European ancestry.
Are these people unable to read? I don't know what's going on, but it gets worse. This person said, you're not Italian. You're some kind of a mutt trying to make money identifying with whichever race gives you more likes and views. Let me keep going. This mulatto's coping hard. Mulatto. The feminine version of mulatto. Sorry, we aren't all like you. Let me just point out that this person's username is Jim Crow Rides Again. What? This person, John something. Just because you're part black doesn't mean everyone's part black. Give it a break. What? These are literally on a video where it's like, if you identify as white, you may be able to dig into your family story more. Here's a map that I found that was going viral. That was really interesting. I'm just talking about it. That's the whole video. That's the whole video. And also in the video, I said, I have some free downloads for you if you want to kind of work on your family story without having a DNA test. Okay.
And so here, I think we should introduce this idea that if you're a YouTube creator, you need to take comments with a grain of salt. That the internet is a very big place, and you're going to encounter all different types of people. Like someone with the username Jim Crow Rides Again. But I think that first comment was probably the most telling, where they question whether she's Italian, and then they go on to say, you're just trying to make money identifying with whichever race gives you more likes and views. And this really exposes their mentality, right? This is a big part of being a white nationalist is the grift. And that's why you see them out there creating Native Americans or aligning with black people who are pushing their narrative. But the difference here is she actually cares about truth. She cares about history. And she wants to teach people.
Oh, here's the other one that was on this. Filthy Browns, referring to me. Filthy Browns trying to take being white from us now, shaking my head. When y'all want to talk about slavery, we are all white though, right? LOL, we aren't all mutts like you, wink face. And then just shut up, biatch, also to me. Another person said on that video, just more racial propaganda. I like literally don't know what the propaganda would be. It was like, look at this map. It's like, oh, a lot of Dutch people settled here. What? This person said, man, you're determined to do everything you can to undermine whiteness. Like, I want to undermine all the crayon colors, to be honest. But it's like, if this map is showing you like, oh, my family is from this area, I may actually have Finnish ancestry. That is so helpful and beautiful to know and connect to. And then they say hate comes in many forms, like referring to me. How could you possibly believe that this has anything to do with hating anyone? And then another person said that this video sounds like anti-white propaganda. Like, how is that even possible? How is that even the takeaway? Anti-white propaganda. Then they said, this one person, very clever, said, yeah, we white people have a diverse culture. You seem to have a problem with that. Bro, the video's literally about how diverse you are if you identify as white. That's literally the point of the video.
And so, again, we see her making the strong argument where she's saying, I was trying to show you a map to help you better understand yourself and your ancestry. And so in all of these comments, especially that last one, we can see that these people lack the basic critical thinking skills and probably the ability to read, and that they truly don't understand what she's trying to do. Now let's skip ahead to her last video. This was posted very recently, and this is when things get a little more threatening. Let's take a look.
My phone is ringing at like 3 a.m. couple days ago. And this like unknown number was calling me over and over again. And this person started like leaving me voicemails and stuff. I don't know how they got my private information. And over the past 6 months, I've had multiple, like a bunch of different men trying to contact me and tell me that they're going to find me, they're going to rape me, they're going to rape me to death, they're going to murder me, they're going to punish me. Like, for what, you might ask? Sharing records? Going to the Library of Congress website? I don't know. The men that I've been dealing with, and there's always, they just, there's like more and more all the time, have scared me so bad. I don't feel like it's safe to be this public on this platform anymore, especially as a woman. So this is my last YouTube video on here.
And so this is heartbreaking on so many levels. You can see she's visibly shaken, but we can also see that this is something that she's so passionate about, being taken away from her. And not only that, but being taken away from us as society. She was contributing to society, making society better, educating people, making people passionate about genealogy, finding unique, interesting ways to look at history. That leads to the worst part, that these trolls have won. Let's keep going.
Apparently some men have decided that a woman doing this work needs to be severely punished for it, actually killed for it, brutally killed for it. I want to talk with you a little bit about these issues because it didn't start with death threats. Like I said, for the past 6 months in particular, the comments have gotten really bad. And so I was getting a lot of slurs and stuff, and I thought about just like dropping because of that. And I ended up having my friend Jason jump on as a moderator to kind of like take that burden off of me. And it was really awesome. But at some point, it stopped being just like random weird comments and it started getting like really specific. I was getting really specific messages. Like I said, people calling me, multiple different random men finding my number, leaving me voicemails, harassing me. And darker comments about people threatening to murder me and like rape me to death.
And so what we're seeing here is the evolution of the internet, a place that is increasingly more dangerous to put yourself out there. A place not that long ago where Gamergate happened, where a bunch of men felt entitled to threaten women a number of different ways. And now we're seeing those men grow up, get into politics and white nationalism, and continue to do the same thing.
You know, as a woman, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, but like I have to keep so many folders on my computer of different men that are threatening me or scaring me so I can have all the information on them just in case. And it's like, I don't want to live like that anymore. I don't want to do that anymore. This platform is making a bunch of money off my content. And yeah, there's like no parameters on anything. There's no, it just doesn't matter, right? So this is going to be my last YouTube video.
What makes this story so disturbing isn't that just one creator was targeted, it's why she was targeted. Nothing Danielle said was radical. Nothing she taught was hateful. She didn't erase anyone's identity. She tried to give people more of it, more history, more specificity, more truth. And that's the problem. What we're watching here is what happens when identity is treated as something fragile that must be defended from facts, when history becomes a threat, when nuance feels like an attack, and when a woman explaining the past is met not with disagreement, but with punishment. This didn't start with death threats. It started with bad faith, grievance, and a refusal to engage honestly. But that escalation matters because it shows where this culture leads when it's left unchecked. When platforms profit from outrage but refuse responsibility. When intimidation becomes a substitute for argument. And when people who are actually contributing something meaningful are chased out. Not because they're wrong, but because they're inconvenient. If we care about truth, education, or even basic decency online, this should worry us. Because the loss here isn't just one channel, it's another signal that the loudest voices aren't winning debates. They're silencing them. And that should concern everyone. Danielle, you don't deserve this. Thank you for the hard work you've done and the contributions you've made to our society.
In the long history of the world, only a few generations have been granted the role of defending freedom.